Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. It's been a while since we did a Monday night quarterback fantasy football episode. We just got done with wild card weekend and it's Monday night, so there's really no football on, but it inspired me to do another video, talk about fantasy football. I don't think I do enough. I don't know if it's appreciated or not. Maybe you'd rather me not do that. But anyway, I came up with an idea and I thought I'd share it with you. And I initially thought to myself, I'm going to talk about the best and worst draft picks, the best and worst trades, and the best and worst lineup decisions in both of my leagues, so we could see what's going on. And as I reflected upon, the best and worst things that happened in the leagues this year, I thought to myself, who am I to really judge my other owners in my other leagues when in one league I didn't make the playoffs, and in another league I made the playoffs but came in fourth, didn't even make the championship. Now there's reasons for that, and I will discuss a little bit of those reasons as I go through this. But, not a very highly successful year for me, so who wants to take advice from me, right? Keep in mind, out of these two leagues are both keeper leagues. Somewhat different point structure, but one league has 12 owners in it, and the other league has 10. So, a lot goes into the decision-making process when you're doing a lot of this stuff, but they are keeper leagues. So let's get into it a little bit. In the one league, we call it the Jevin Honecker League. That is, in that league, I actually had the top 3 picks in the draft, right? And pretty good keepers going into it. And in fact, I'll tell you the truth, at the end of the draft, keepers and draft, I had the best team all the way throughout the entire season, but I was unable to make a trade. Some other teams made some trades. Those trades had them outscore me for the year, but that's neither here nor there. Alright, so I did have the number 1 pick in that draft, and I took Barkley, of course. We're not counting that as my best pick, so we're talking about the best pick in the entire draft. You know what my best pick was? James Conner. The 19th round, the very last pick of the draft. I had it because I won the year before. I picked last in the 19th round. There he was. The other owner who had Le'Veon Bell did not take him. I was sitting there and I was like, why not? Let me take a chance on that guy. And boy, am I glad I did. What a great season he had. He has turned into a keeper for me. And I got him with the very last pick of the draft. So I thought that was a pretty good one. Especially considering I didn't even have Le'Veon Bell. The other owner did, and I picked him last, Mr. Insignificant, if you will. Now the worst pick, a lot of worst picks. I think in any draft that you didn't take Patrick Mahomes and you took any other quarterback, that could be considered your worst pick. But I'm not going to go there. I actually took Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. That didn't fare out that great for me, and that's part of the reason I didn't win the championship. My worst pick, like I said, I had the top 3 picks, were picks 2 and 3. So with picks 2, I took Devontae Freeman. Now he got hurt, and you could say, hey, what are you going to do? You're really going to call out your worst pick when somebody gets hurt that early in the season. So, but I don't know. That did hurt a lot. Thank goodness I got Connor at the end. And the tie, I took Gronkowski at number 3. Trying to fill out my roster, get the best at every position, and there I go, take Gronkowski, and what a lousy season he had. So that's my worst pick. Best pick, Connor. Worst pick, Gronkowski, maybe Freeman. It depends on what you want. Best and worst trade in this league. I was unable to make one trade the entire season, and I tried hard. I had multiple running backs. People needed running backs. They were unwilling to trade with me. They were unwilling to negotiate with me, let alone trade. It wasn't like I'd put out a trade and then they'd come back and be like, let's do it this way, and we decided not to make a trade. No. People would either not respond at all, or they would just flat out deny the trade, not look for anything else, not want to deal with me. Even though, there's room, for them to benefit their team and for me to benefit my team. I don't know. I was very disappointed in that. One of my favorite things to do in fantasy football, besides win everything, is to make trades. And I was unable to do that. So I didn't have a worst or best trade. And in fact, at the end of the season, as we're all, trying to get ready for keepers for next year and looking at our rosters, I tried to make a deal with a person for a running back and, trade some of my people. He ended up making a different trade, which I think was not as good as what I was offering. Of course, I'm going to think that, but really, so I reached out to him. I was like, why would you do that when I was offering you all this? He blatantly said to me, I didn't want you to have him. I didn't want you to have this player, so I'll take a lesser deal so that you don't have him. So, that kind of stinks that people don't want to trade with me, but, when you're the best, I guess that's what happens. Although this year, I wasn't, so, and it hurts. So, no best and worst trade in that league. How about worst lineup decision? So this one's easy. In the semifinals, as my third receiver all year, pretty much, I've been starting Alshon Jeffrey, but he was up and down, and he was playing the Rams this week, and Larry Fitzgerald, I had him as well as my number 3, and he was playing the Falcons. So matchup-wise, when Jeffrey's up and down, Fitzgerald hasn't been doing great. I took a chance, and I started Fitzgerald instead of Jeffrey. Start Jeffrey, I win that game, I move on to the championship. Would have lost anyway, no matter who I started, so didn't really matter in the end, but it would have got me to the championship, so that was my worst lineup decision in the Jevin Honecker League. Okay, so I know it's a longer one, but maybe you're dealing with some of the same pains or the same regrets from the season, so we could share in these tiers together. The other league I'm in is in the KFL. Been in that since 1991. Okay, again, best pick, you could say Barkley. I traded everything away to make sure I got him in both leagues. But again, I can't include Barkley as the best pick. That's not fair. But in the second round, I was able to get Juju Smith, and I think he was my best pick. Again, that's a 12-team league, so there's 60 players already being kept. To get him in the second round was a pretty good deal. When I looked at the rest of my draft, there was nobody else that really jumped out. That was really it. So my worst pick. Follow up that great second round pick with a third round pick of Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham I took as my tight end. All the other ones were taken. He was probably right for the tight end when I took him. And I probably shouldn't have, considering Adam Thielen and Nick Chubb were both still available when I took Jimmy Graham. Worst pick of my draft in the KFL right there. Best trade throughout the season, I was able to trade Leonard Fournette for Odell Beckham Jr. I think that worked out pretty well. Again, I didn't make the playoffs in this league, but Fournette is not running too well. Did not run well. Doesn't look like he's going to be a keeper going forward. Odell Beckham, although sometimes a head case, got a little injured at the end of the year. I think he's a better keeper than Fournette. So that was my best trade. My worst trade, this was at the end when I was out of the playoffs, and I'm trying to prepare for next year. Probably my worst trade, but I had to make something happen. I ended up trading Baker Mayfield, David Johnson, Juju Smith for Le'Veon Bell in a second rounder. So, wow, right? David Johnson wasn't having the year. I wouldn't have kept Juju. I tried to parlay it all into Le'Veon Bell. Hopefully he goes to the Colts next year and I get the extra second rounder out of this. Who knows? Right now I feel that is my worst trade. And in this league, I didn't make the playoffs for a reason. And the reason was I tied 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, back 6 and week 7, I tied. If I win those ties, if I score one more point in either one of those games, I'm in the playoffs. I make it to the championship based on the lineups I submitted when I thought I'd be in the at the championship. I wouldn't have won the championship anyway, but I would have made the playoffs. So because of those two ties, so my lineup decisions that week, again, Alshon Jeffrey. Should have started him over any other receiver I had on my team or my flex position in that. It would have been Sanders and Yeldon. So I could have started him over those two. Would have won that game. Of course, he was on my bench. Didn't get me the points. I didn't win. And then the other one I started in week 7, I started Baker Mayfield when I had Mitch Trubisky to put in my lineup. And I went with the rookie because I thought I was cool. And I was wrong. And therefore, I lost. Cost me the playoffs. I did get a little bit of money back because I was the highest scoring non-playoff team. So it's like, not very, it's like dating your sister kind of winnings there. But still, I still got a little cash back, so that was all right. So that's what I have for you tonight. The only other thing I wanted to say, we had, in one of the leagues, one of my owners decided that fantasy football is too stressful. So for those of you who are in fantasy football, don't let it become stressful. It is supposed to be fun. And the thing that I always like to remind, especially in these two leagues, you can get in internet leagues and things like that, it might be a little bit different. But in these leagues, these are my friends from 1991 up until now. So if you're watching this video, it's 2019. So however many years that is, I've all been friends for that long, and it's a reason for us always to get together every year, do our drafts. We stay in contact throughout the entire year. Sure, our main conversation is about fantasy football, but we go to each other's weddings or birthdays and things like that, so we stay involved in each other's lives, and fantasy football allows us to do that. So I didn't make the championship this year. I only made the playoffs in 1 or 2 leagues. It was fun and stressful for me, so hopefully it's not too stressful for you. Stay at it, have fun, hang out with your friends, and keep coming back to Kimmel's Irish Pub for these great nuggets that I'm giving you. So, alright, thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.